Hey guys! So due to some unforeseen circumstances, this video is coming out just a little bit later than I originally planned, but better late than never. So if you're looking for a really fun video, a quick video about the Similan Islands, kind of an overview of what you might see, you might want to check out my other video, which was released last week. I will show it, it'll pop up on the screen somewhere, and you can click that, or I will also include the link in the description box below. This video is going to be a lot longer. It's going to cover a lot more detail. It's going to cover my opinion and my experiences on a liveaboard boat at the Similan Islands. It's also going to include the different types of fish that I've seen at the dive sites, and a little bit of information about each of those fish will pop up on the screen. So this is going to be a lot more informative, a lot more educational, but a little bit longer. So yeah, let's get started. Beach. My journey began the next day at 6:30 a.m. I was picked up by the South Siam Divers and taken on a 2-hour car ride from Patong all the way up to the pier. The pier is where we caught a speedboat. The speedboat was about an hour long speedboat ride out to the liveaboard boat that we were staying on. Now I do want to mention that I did book from a different dive company, but then was outsourced to South Siam Divers, which I didn't realize would happen, but luckily South Siam Divers was a fairly decent experience for me. The boat itself was really nice. It had an upper deck that included a dining room as well as a snack and a coffee bar with different types of snacks, drinks, and a very light breakfast of toast. The rooms were not bad, but if you were traveling solo, you may have to share a room with somebody else, so that is something to keep in mind. We were very lucky. There was only 6 of us all together for my liveaboard, but the boat can handle a lot more people than that. I personally would not want to have more than that, so if you go during peak season, that is going to be a different experience than what I had. Dive 1 was of North Point. It was a 50-minute dive. We started at 11:30 a.m. in the morning. Dive was close to shore, so anywhere from 5 meters to 20 meters was our depth. It depended on where we were as we were swimming. There were quite a few different types of fish. It was my first dive in a little while, and I am still a newbie, so I had some trouble controlling my buoyancy, so I don't have as much good footage as I would like. But overall, it was a really great dive. So let's watch that. Dive 2 was at a dive spot called 3 Trees. It was a 52-minute dive that we started at 1:30 p.m. after lunch, and we were anywhere from 5 to 20 meters depending on where we are in the dive site. We saw quite a few different fish, as well as a sea turtle, which was really cool, as well as a stingray. So I got some really decent footage from this dive, so let's check that out now. Dive 3 was a dive spot called Christmas Point. Christmas Tree Point was a another 50-minute dive. We were 20 to 25 meters, and there was a really strong current for this dive. There was a couple of places where you could go through these little cave systems. So at one point in the dive, I was really struggling. The current was pulling me along, and I was trying to follow the dive master into this cave section, and I caught a current, and I just couldn't catch up. One of the other divers with me also got caught in the same current, and we just could not fight it. So we ended up having to drift around the other side, and the instructor caught up with us and told us the right way to go. So it ended up being okay, but the dive was really difficult. So some of my video footage is very shaky, and overall it was interesting dive, but it was very difficult because of the current. So I think I would have enjoyed that dive spot a little bit more if there hadn't been that strong of a current that day. But the dive instructor did inform us ahead of time that there usually is a current there, and so it just depends on obviously ocean conditions and what's been going on. So yeah. Fourth dive was a night dive. We dived at Beacon Point, which is very low. We only dived 5 to 15 meters. It was the shallowest dive that we did. This was my first night dive, so I was already pretty nervous, and I felt a little claustrophobic. There were, instead of breaking into groups of 3, there was only one dive instructor, so there was 6 of us with one dive instructor, and I was not comfortable. The torch that they gave us was also really low quality, so it wasn't really working that well, and the only things that I could see were because one of the divers had his own torchlight that was really, really good. So if you do plan on doing night dives, I would highly suggest that you get your own torch, because I wish I had to have my own torch. I didn't really see much, and I don't have that much footage to show. GoPros really aren't made for nighttime video anyways, and then on top of that, when you're underwater, it's very difficult, and I was also struggling, so a lot of my footage is very shaky. I will still show you some of the things, but I honestly didn't see much. I saw pufferfish and a couple of other small fish, but for the most part, the night dive was a little bit of a bust for me. It was just really a learning experience so that I know what to expect next time. At the end of dive day 1, we enjoyed a really awesome dinner. I do want to mention that the food was fairly decent. It's not anything super amazing, but the chefs do a really great job as far as being on a boat and cooking on a boat. Dive day 2. Dive day 2 started off really early in the morning. I'm not usually a morning person, so I was a little nervous about diving that early in the morning, but we started our dive at Elephant Head Rock. It started at 7:30 a.m. and it was another 50-minute dive. This dive was actually really awesome. I decided, due to the recommendation of one of the people that I was diving with, I did take off one of the weights off my weight belt, and I was much better at controlling my buoyancy. I saw really interesting fish. The water itself was really calm, and it was really enjoyable. So here's that footage. go snorkeling for a little bit. There was a really strong current really close to the shore, so I wasn't able to get that much footage, but it was a lot of fun and it was also a really good workout. I did also see a sea turtle, which was really cool, and a lot of fish. Dive number 6. Dive number 6 was at a dive site called Day 6. It was actually a really awesome dive. It was another 50-minute dive. We started at 10:30 a.m. after we had a proper breakfast, and we saw quite a few things actually. I saw quite a few different fish, as well as an eel and a moray eel and an octopus. So really cool. Awesome dive, and I really enjoyed it. There were also 2 little like overhang cave sections that you could swim through. I got some really good footage of that, and it was just a really cool experience. Dive number 7 was the last dive. The dive site name was East of Eden. The dive was about 50 minutes long, and we had a depth of about 20 meters. I was finally feeling really in control of my buoyancy and swimming, of course. So now that I had a lot of practice, it was a lot easier, and I really enjoyed this dive. It started out really interesting because it was actually raining when we first jumped into the water, so it was very interesting to feel like this cold rain and then be in the warm water. We were getting different types of currents, so it would be like really warm water, and then you would swim a little bit further and then get really cold water. So it's very strange, but also really interesting. I saw a lot of really interesting fish, nothing particularly super special, but I just really enjoyed the dive itself because I felt more in control and I felt more comfortable, and the dive site was a decent dive site. All the footage. Overall, I did have a really good time with South Siam Divers. It was a really awesome learning experience for me and added 7 dives to my belt of diving experience. As a newbie diver, it was really awesome. It was the clearest water I've ever been in, and I was able to see quite a bit, so I really enjoyed it. Diving the Similan Islands does have a lot of varying opinion. There are divers, experienced divers, who have been to a lot of really amazing dive sites who say it's not worth it. However, for me, I felt like it was worth it. There are some things to keep in mind, just both with who you're diving with, the diving season, how many people are going to be on the boat, how many divers there are going to be. I feel like I wouldn't have had the same experience had I had an overcrowded boat or too many divers in the water. I have read articles that said that there were multiple diver boats at certain times of the year. For us, out of all the dives, we almost never even saw the other 3 people. I think there was only one dive where we saw the other 3 people that were on the same boat as us, but when we split up, we didn't even see each other. And then there was only one other dive where another diving company came into the water just as we were leaving. So overall, it didn't feel crowded. It didn't feel over touristy, but I've read that at different times of the year it really can. So that is something to keep in mind. I did go on it was the first week of the diving season, so really not a lot of people, just because it's not always the best time of year. During peak season, there's going to be a lot more people on the boat. The boat can accommodate a lot more people. However, personally, I would not want that diving experience, so that is something to keep in mind. And keep in mind your footprint when you're diving, and keep in mind, do your research about different areas and different dive companies to work with. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, I've spent a lot of time working on it, so I hope you appreciate all the information. If you need any more information, feel free to ask me questions in the comment box below about anything to do with diving or the Similan Islands. I'll be more than happy to help you out in any way that I can. If you also enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and I always appreciate if you would like to see more videos, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button. Remember to live, love, and travel on. See you next week. Bye!